Hi, and welcome back to the Queen of Parks podcast. I am your host, Holly, and today I'm talking all about my trip to Hong Kong Disneyland. And at the end of the episode, we're going to hear from my husband and ask him what he thought. Thank you again for joining me today. I just wanted to let you know that I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm really excited to talk about Hong Kong Disneyland. We had an amazing time, and I can't wait to unpack just how amazing that park actually was, because I do think that of all the parks right now, that one's getting the least amount of love. And after experiencing it, I don't understand it. So I do want to say that if you guys want to see some of the things that I'm going to be talking about today, I will be putting up lots of clips, videos, of our experience, some of the places that we saw that I'm going to be specifically talking about today, obviously in the park, but also the hotel, like a room tour of our room and just all different kinds of things about the trip. On my Instagram, which is at Queen of Parks Pod. So join me over there, please. And then also on TikTok, which is going to be Cast the Magic Travel. So when I was deciding this week on the episode, this was going to be the episode because I've been waiting to talk about it. And also we are on the heels of Chinese New Year, which my husband his family is from mainland and Canton, China. And so my kids are half Chinese, and obviously we do celebrate Chinese New Year then. And, I do the best that I can to, try to keep some of that going with the kids and everything. But we did celebrate this week. We had a wonderful dim sum meal and went to a festival that had some really cool dragon dances and instrumental Chinese instruments and different things. But anyway, I thought it'd be the perfect time to talk about our experience at the Hong Kong Disneyland Park. Also, I was careful because this is episode 13. So I was like, wait a minute, is that going to be like unlucky? Because they're really superstitious about numbers. But I did some homework, and they're not bothered about the number 13, so it works out great because I feel like we are. So this is the perfect episode to do. They actually, number 4, it's pretty dark, but it means death. So anyway, it worked out. I love the word auspicious as well. Like, I feel like they're always using that word, and it just sounds I just like it. So it is an auspicious number, the number 13. So some interpretations, specifically in Cantonese, suggest it means assured living or assured growth. So there's a little fun lesson for you that you didn't ask for, know that you were getting today. But anyway, I talk about this park in episode 6 in all about how different parks around the world celebrate Christmas. And I do hope that after this episode, you have more context on what an amazing park it is and all that it has to offer. And do give that episode a listen, because I was really surprised, and I'm not really sure what. Well, I guess I kind of considered Christmas in general to be more of like a Western kind of holiday, but they go big over there with Christmas, and you will see, I would absolutely love to be there at Christmas time. So first of all, I wanted to talk about the Disney Explorers Lodge. When we landed in Hong Kong, we did have family that was also on the more the island side. And so it was really early morning. The check-in there is at 3 p.m. Now, the thing about the app, and there is their own app. Every park basically has their own app that you can download for your phone. And they are no different. So there is a Hong Kong Disney app, and you can, quote unquote, link your hotel reservation, tickets, and what have you. I did not have the best luck with that. And being on Reddit, I was not alone. So it does say 3 p.m. check-in. And most of the time, they're going to stick to that 3 p.m. check-in. They're supposed to email you if your room is ready earlier. And from what I saw, and also my lived experience with it, we did not get those emails. But we were just planning on basically crashing our in-laws' hotel rooms essentially, so that we could hang out with them for a few hours and got breakfast and stuff. And then by the time we were ready to check into our room, it was the afternoon time. So that was our plan. If you are going to get there earlier, I would probably go ahead and make your way over there, because they will at least hold your bags. And there is a train station that you can get a free shuttle to from your hotel if you're staying on property. And you can just take a train ride into an area that has lots of, eating options and shopping and whatnot. And just, you can explore that option as well. But also, they may be ready for you. So it's worth it to go over there to see if you can get an early check-in. The front desk is also where you're going to be picking up your tickets. So that was another thing about the tickets. I wasn't able to link anything, and it's probably because we had a package. Sometimes that can be a thing. We weren't just buying tickets. So when you check in, that is when they're going to give you not only your room assignment, but also your tickets. And I just want to say they are the cutest paper tickets, and we are very excited to see what characters we all got. And I did take a picture of them, so I will put that up. It's fun to get paper tickets because it's a fun little memento, and you don't always get those anymore. So that was neat. But I do want to say, the staff are amazing, very friendly, and just right off the bat, when you are approaching the hotel, first of all, let me backtrack a little bit. Hong Kong is incredible. So if this is a place that you are considering for a vacation with your family, you will not regret. It is beautiful. There are wonderful day trips that you can take that are inexpensive or free to explore Hong Kong. And the hotel itself, as you're pulling up to it, it just feels so lush. I mean, it's beautiful. And once you get into the lobby itself is stunning. It is gorgeous. The hotel is on Lantau Island in Hong Kong, and it's right on Penny's Bay, which is part of the South China Sea. And the rooms in the hotel in general are according to 4 unique tropical climates: Asia, Oceania, South America, and Africa. So that is the theming, and it's Explorer's Lodge. So you will have opportunities if you wish to have photos taken with Mickey and Minnie in the lobby, and they are in these adorable explorers costumes, and that's very fun. So the hotel has more than 1,000 pieces of art and artifacts from around the world on display. Up on level 2, there is a Finding Nemo themed children's play area called Nemo's Recreation Room, and it is complimentary. It's open during limited times throughout the day, and they do have those times posted if it's something that you want to take advantage of. I noticed there's a 50-minute or sometimes 20 to 30-minute session, so I think they're doing active activities. I know they're making crafts in there, all different kinds of activities, but there is a time limit. It's not like you're going to drop your kid off and then you go hang out and then come back for them. For hours, it's not that sort of thing, but it's definitely worth looking into. The room is so adorable. Lots of amazing theming happening throughout this entire hotel, and that room is not an exception. The gift shop's amazing, and it has some, basic things that you maybe need, forgot, what have you, as well on the ground floor of that amazing, beautiful lobby that you walk into. There is a shuttle, obviously, that takes you to Disney. It takes about 10 minutes from this hotel to get to Disney. If you do stay at the hotel, you do get priority park entrance. It's a specific entrance for people staying on property. They currently have 3 different hotels to choose from. I chose this one because I was tempted to choose the Disneyland hotel, the Hong Kong Disneyland hotel, because it's iconic, it's kind of like our Grand Floridian kind of vibe hotel, or the Paris Disneyland hotel, just like that more iconic hotel. But after kind of like looking at photos, I decided to go for Explorers because it's a newer hotel. And so the rooms just looked more updated, bigger. You know, that's just kind of my vibe. But if you're looking for very like princessy, you have littles, you know, more theming in the rooms, the Disneyland Hotel would be worth looking at for you. And that one is the closest hotel. So you can walk to the park from the Disneyland Hotel. They do have an indoor pool there, and we did utilize that. So if you're staying at other hotels, you can take shuttles between the different hotels. And on that note, there are a ton of activities that these hotels offer throughout the day for hotel guests. Some of them are paid, and you can utilize the ones at all the different resorts, but you would have to just take the free shuttle in between the different hotels to get there. So like I said, we took the shuttle over the one day because I wanted to experience the Disneyland Hotel and see what they had to offer and just the general vibe in there. And also we wanted to use their pool. The indoor pool was like not very big. I mean, it wasn't small, but I guess for like a main Disney hotel, probably was expecting it to be bigger. They do have a beautiful outdoor pool, but it was rainy and not the right weather for that. So the indoor pool was the only option. Our hotel has a gorgeous looking at pictures pool, but it is empty when we're there because we were there during sort of spring break time in March, and that's considered off season for them, and they were doing some maintenance. But you can see in the photos that when this pool is open, it is gorgeous. More and just finishing up talking about the Disneyland Hotel. I did feel like, again, if you had littles or you're trying to create that more like quintessential, you know, Disney princess park experience, that would be a good option for you. Just as ease of getting to and from the park. You don't have to wait for a shuttle. You can just walk back. And the decor was more, you know, what you would expect from like fairy tale. So the lobby was very beautiful. It felt a little dated, but it was gorgeous. You know, think a little bit more along the lines of just like, you know, old school Grand Floridian, just very, you know, sort of Victorian maybe. And they did have a Bippity Boppity Boutique as well. So if you're looking for that experience, that is going to be at that hotel. Okay, back to the Disney Explorers Lodge. So I cannot speak highly enough about this hotel experience. The room was spacious, so clean feeling, and the touches that they did in there were so perfect. And I really enjoyed that. I will show the room tour that I quickly did when I got into the room, which everybody's always mad at me because they're like, we just want to put our stuff down. I'm like, no, I don't want your things all over the place. I want to make a video. That's not fun for anybody. But anyway, I'm booking the things, so I'm going to do it. But yeah, the room was amazing. We took advantage of one of their on-site restaurants one evening, the Dragon Wind restaurant. I won't go into a ton of detail because I'm sure someday I'll do a full review. But I will say that restaurant was not only gorgeous, and when we were there, I feel like there was only like 3 tables eating. We did get a little dressed up, and I did not feel overdressed because this is like a really nice restaurant. The kitchen is like an open kitchen. You can kind of see them back to the side where the kitchen is. First of all, the interior of this restaurant, I cannot speak highly enough. There's like this gorgeous kind of dragon thing that's huge. Like this restaurant is a extremely big, just open room, and it was like trailing along the ceiling, this gorgeous sort of like contemporary looking dragon thing. It was so cool. It was not tacky at all. It was beautiful. And the food was really good. The service, these people, you would like just barely look up to see if like anyone was around. If you wanted something, I don't know what, you know, just a drink or whatever. I was going to say ketchup, but you're not really getting ketchup there. You could. But they literally like, they kind of put their head down a little bit and then they run up to you. And they're all wearing like, you know, really nice waiter like outfits and stuff. And I'm just like, the first couple of times I was like, oh, please don't run. It's fine. I don't need anything that important, like it's all good. I'm nobody. I'm absolutely no one. But they're just their hospitality level is just like so high. Like it's crazy. So polite, so wonderful. It was a wonderful meal in a beautiful restaurant, and I can't recommend it enough. So that was that restaurant. So and also that restaurant is Cantonese focused food, but it's not going to be anything like if you're not super adventurous, but you do like, Chinese cuisine. Think about, I don't want to throw the word PF Chang's in there because it's way better, but I'm just saying like you can order stuff that you've seen before. It's not going to be some foreign random, chicken feet or something. And I only say that because I do like chicken feet. That's crazy. But if you've been to dim sum and you've had them, they're delicious. If you haven't, try them. Anyway, it's not going to be something crazy. You know what I mean? We're talking like sweet and sour chicken or whatever, but just really, really good. They do offer character dining there as well with Mickey and Friends and their Explorers outfits, which is super fun. I'm assuming not when we went. I'm trying to think like why it was so quiet when we went. I guess it was like a random time for them over there. Like I don't think they're spring break or if they have spring break. I don't know what the situation is, but it was really quiet and I doubt there would be like, characters that it was later, I guess too. I don't know. I did peek in, but I did not go to. They have this restaurant called the International World of Color Restaurant, and it does offer international dishes. And I will be back. I love this place so much. I will be back, and I will try it. But the color scheme in there, the decor in there was so beautiful. I think I just landed on the other one. I don't even know what. Maybe I just wanted to try like their whatever, like their nice restaurant or whatever, just to see what it was like. But this place was beautiful and it had a little bit more of a casual vibe, but the color scheme aesthetic in there, it was like very much almost like it was just super soft. It was very pretty in there. And I do want to go, like I said, I do want to go back and try it. We did eat at the Chart Room Cafe for breakfast when we were there both mornings. It is a quick service cafe, so you can get, your coffee, light bites, and they have homemade gelato and stuff like that. They have different things throughout the day. But their breakfast, their menu is so good. They have just maybe 4 or 5 things that you can kind of pick from. My son got the Chinese breakfast, which included sumai, hargao, mushroom bun, and congee of the day. Congee of the day. That's a thing over there. Congee is it's kind of like, if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a very watery, this is going to sound gross how I'm saying it, but it's not gross. Think of like a Chinese version of an oatmeal, I guess, but they don't use oats. They use rice. So it doesn't take very much rice. You can make it at home. It's actually really easy if you want to try it. And you essentially add a ton of water. So the rice gets very I don't want to say mushy, but kind of mushy, like an oatmeal, I guess. And then they put different flavored meats and spring onions. And then you can add a little bit of soy sauce kind of thing. The breakfast there in Hong Kong and the way that they breakfast is going to be different to what we're used to. So there was a restaurant that we would go to pretty often when we were just in the regular part of Hong Kong, and they did offer something similar, which is why I bring it up at the Explorers, the Chart Room Cafe, sorry, which was, it was like a bowl of think about elbow macaroni with a soup base, and then it had chopped ham, pork, something like that in it. And when you get a bowl of that for breakfast, you're like, what is this? You know what I mean? And it's delicious is what it is. And if you think about it, it's just another carb, right? I mean, you eat one of these breakfasts, you're going to feel full for most of your day. And we did. So that was his breakfast. And then his was more of just I guess a dim sum kind of inspired type breakfast. They also serve an American breakfast, which looked more like a traditional English breakfast to me. So it had the tomatoes, the beans, your eggs. It was a really good spread. You're not going to go hungry eating here. But then they also had a kids breakfast. So if you're hearing this and you're like, my kids are going to starve because they don't eat anything out of the ordinary, fear not, because they also, are offering things that we get at our parks here too. So they do just have, Mickey waffles and scrambled eggs, egg plate, and then they have, and like fruit and stuff like that. Dreamers Lookout is okay. So let me kind of just try to describe this whole like floor plan for you without being super confusing, which is not my strongest suit. There is the main lobby where you walk in. Okay, think Wilderness Lodge if you've been in Walt Disney World. And also, if you've been to the Aulani Resort in Hawaii, they also are that hotel is very, very, very similar to this, to the point where we're eating breakfast and I'm looking outside. I'm like, was this hotel just like carbon copy of Aulani and they just put like a different theme on it? I'm suspicious. It looks almost exactly the same. I mean, they even have like just a couple things moved. So the Aulani Resort has this sort of like pitched archway outside that looks so cool. And this also has it. It's just more off to the side. And then the outside of the resort in the back, also most of the rooms kind of make a U shape around a bigger area where they have their pool. That's how the Explorers Lodge was. Aulani has their pool / water little park area. So it's extremely similar. Even the rooms, the lobby, the entry before you even walk into the hotel, it was all so similar. So, and listen, Aulani's a gorgeous resort as well. So you're not going to lose. It's a beautiful hotel. So anyway, what I was trying to say is, so think of this massive lobby with soaring ceilings. And then you walk all the way past the reception desks, and then there is a seating area, and there are stairs that go down, and there are stairs that go up. If you go downstairs, you're immediately in like 2 flights with a landing. I mean, the whole place is just very, huge, sprawling, whatever. You're going to land in that chart room cafe. And then if you go up a level, you're going to have some more seating. And then if you go up a level past the lobby, you're going to come into this other area, which is the Dreamers Lookout. So you're a little higher up, so you can see outside, more expansive views, even more so. And I think another reason why it reminds me of Aulani is because obviously in Aulani, you're on the ocean, so you have that gorgeous water view. But this one is not obstructed by, a water park in the middle. So you can see clear out to that Penny's Bay. And it is beautiful because there's mountains. I mean, Hong Kong is gorgeous. And you can see all of that from that Dreamers Lookout area. So that is a lounge area. And it features specialty coffee cocktails, really beautiful couches, different styles and seating, a little table, bistro sets, it's just a very cool. And then there's another level you can also go up to that has even more seating. So you can get your cocktail and then you can have a seat and just kind of unwind. And because it's right there, if you have teens or, whatever, you can, peel out and just go have a little drink or, whatever. And it's really nice like that. And another thing about this hotel is this resort has almost 700 species of plants around the grounds. So it just is super lush and super, super beautiful. And I guess I want to say too, and this is something that Disney does really well. And I'm a fickle girl. Sometimes I want to be in a resort that just slaps you upside the head and is like, you're at Disney. And sometimes it's nice to just have those more subtle touches. And that's what this hotel is. This hotel is more subtle touch. You're in a Disney resort. I mean, you're going to see hidden Mickeys. But it's more subtle. The Disney nods. They're enough that you notice them and you're not like, I'm in a generic hotel, but they're not as in your face as some of the other Disney resorts. I'm not going to say I don't like those because I love those too, but I'm just saying it feels a little bit more elevated that way. And it's just a really beautiful, nice hotel. So moving on, we are going to wake up get on our shuttle and we are going over to Hong Kong Disneyland. The entrance, as soon as you come off the buses, there's a huge, cool sign, which I will post, Hong Kong Disney. And then you have, your kind of arched sign. There's this really awesome fountain. It's a very like a wave, like it's a giant wave, and it has Mickey at the top surfing, and like he's like all bronze. It's really cool. And then to the right, you have your entry. And then we also had the priority park entrance. So we kind of waited in line for a little bit, and we had our paper tickets, and we just very easy went through. And the first thing we notice is you're on Main Street, USA. It's very much similar to the Anaheim Park. So you have your gazebo, you see City Hall, you can go to the right or the left, you have your different shops, and things like that. It's very wide and beautiful. And the story of the street is heavily influenced, a little bit different, by European immigrants. So the Plaza Inn has the same exterior, but the theme is about a wealthy American couple who traveled to Hong Kong, fell in love with its culture and cuisine, and returned to create a classical English eatery filled with all the decor they collected on their journey. So I thought that was really neat. And the Market House Bakery is another little story about another little establishment. The whole Main Street is like this. There's all these little stories and stuff that is linked because, Disney, they're the best at telling stories. The Market House Bakery was founded by a Vietnamese pastry chef who brought some of the world's most famous desserts and coffee cakes from the Austrian imperial court. So there's that Market House Bakery. And there's this really cool kind of the market, they call it. So there's all these different little places that you can get food, and then there's tons of tables outside that you can just like sit down and eat at. And at the very back of that, you're going to see where the lockers are. So there's, just like our parks, they have lockers if you want to get a locker for the day. Bathrooms are everywhere, just like our house, just like our house, I wish, just like our parks. And then there's plenty of really well done, nostalgic feeling, very Main Street, Anaheim Disneyland Park gift shops. Very cool gift shops with very unique merchandise, unique to that park, which is fun. They also have the railroad station at the entrance, just like ours does. Same facade with all the flowers and a giant Mickey, before you even walk through to going right or left that you can take pictures at. And the really cool thing is when we got there and we started making our magical way across Main Street, or to get over to Main Street, the Hong Kong Disneyland band was out there. They looked amazing. They sounded amazing. They were fun. They interacted a little bit. They were just really amazing. And it was so fun to see them when you first walk in. It just got you really excited and pumped about the day. And then we made our way down Main Street. And, how can we talk about walking down Main Street without talking about that moment when you see the castle? And I don't care what park you're in, that moment is so special. Tokyo's a little different because I feel like you kind of come out of the initial little shops that are kind of covered to see the castle, but you can kind of see the castle from when you hit that Main Street point, and it's just dead center down, in the distance at the middle. And this castle is so beautiful. It is different to all the other castles, which makes it so fun. This castle is called the Castle of Magical Dreams. It is the centerpiece of Hong Kong Disneyland, and what a centerpiece it is. So it honors 14 Disney princesses and queens that overcame adversity to make their own dreams come true. So you have all your classic princesses that you would think, but it's really fun to really stand there and look at the castle and point out all the little, motifs hidden in the towers, like Snow White's apple, Elsa's snowflake, Cinderella's coach. The different towers, are dedicated to each one. It's really something, and really fun to just really take your time and spend, enjoying that view. And some of the princesses that they honor and queens, you have Pocahontas, Mulan, Tiana, Rapunzel, Merida, Moana, Anna, Elsa, and then your classic ones: Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Cinderella, and Snow White. So it's really special. They do have the daytime shows and the nighttime spectacular momentous. They're all hosted there as well. The really cool thing about this that struck me when I first saw it, though, is just having those natural mountains around the castle in the distance. It just makes it so much more magical, so much more believable. There's no forced perspective. It's just the natural surrounding beauty of this place is like incredible that they have this park just in the middle of all of it. It's just very, very amazing. That's one of the things I absolutely loved about this park. So this park is really fun because it kind of made me feel like it was just a mishmash, and that sounds negative. It was just like a really beautiful blending of lots of different elements from different parks that we've been to in different places. So as I kind of go through some of these lands, they do share some of the same lands as the other parks, and then they have some of their own that are unique to Hong Kong Disney, which is also very fun. And then they still, within those different lands, there's elements that really make you feel like you're in different parts of the Disney properties. So we did rope drop World of Frozen, so I thought I would stop there. So rope drop was fun because, you're waiting. They kind of hold you up right in front of the castle. And this part of the park just feels so expansive. There just feels like there's so much space everywhere. When you look at the map of Hong Kong Disney before you go, you're like, oh, there's only one park. Like, we can do this in a day. And I want you to know that's exactly what I said. Because, we were only in Hong Kong for a week, and we had family that was there and things we wanted to experience with them too. So I was like, okay, well, we will dedicate 2 nights. The night we arrive, we'll go to the park all day, and then I believe we took a train. So we went the night before when we arrived at Hong Kong, we went to our hotel. We woke up the next day, did Disney all day till close, which they close earlier, and then went back, got a good night's rest because obviously we'd been traveling for the longest I've ever traveled. It was hours. But we made it. And then we went ahead and the next morning checked out of the hotel after we got up and rolling. But so we did do a full day there. And the answer to the question, can you do the Hong Kong Disney Park in a day, is yes, you can. And we'll get back to that later. So the first park, as I said before, that the first area of the park is the World of Frozen. This was the first and the largest frozen land in any of the parks. So I guess we would be talking about the only one that really has that area would be Tokyo Disney Sea, which would be in their Fantasy Springs area. But I mean, that's a very large Arendelle area too. But this was the first one. And then, of course, Paris is getting one. So it opened November of 2023. So that was like their newer edition. And we went last year. So it was 2025 when we visited. So it had only been open for a couple of years. And I was, really excited about, even before we kind of planned that trip to go, when it first opened, I was so excited about what they were doing over there with this Frozen Land. Like, I just couldn't believe that they were getting their own Frozen Land, first of all. And then also Wandering Oak and Sliding Sleighs looked so cool. And I loved watching the videos about that. Well, this land is absolutely beautiful. It's got the Nordic buildings around the lake with a gorgeous bridge. The Arendelle Castle is sort of the centerpiece. You have the ice castle, like, forced perspective kind of thing off in the distance. And you have beautiful color changing fountain as you kind of come up into the land, because it's one of those where exactly the same if you've been to Disneyland California. When you go to Toontown, you kind of go under the bridge, you go down the little hill, and then you come up the hill and you're in Arendelle. The shift in like brick / cobblestone, stone, everything that they use in that frozen area, by the way, is noticeably beautiful. It's everywhere you look. It's such a gorgeous place to see. The fountain is beautiful. It's a huge snowflake. It changes colors at night. There's sounds that emanate from it. There's like a really cool flourish thing that it does in the evening. It's very, very, very gorgeous and very pretty to see. And all the really unique gift shops are so fun. The restaurants, they have a couple restaurants back there that are absolutely beautiful. This is like a not miss situation over there at Hong Kong Disney. It is just so much fun. The first thing we did was we rope dropped Wandering Oaken sliding sleighs, because that was the thing I was the most excited to go see. And it's really neat because you're going to walk through, just the queue itself is so much fun. The queue features Oaken Shop, which was so exciting to walk through, because I think I just speak for myself. That's probably one of my favorite parts of that movie. And it's like, 2 minutes long when she goes and gets her equipment she's going to need for her journey in Oaken Shop, because who doesn't love Oaken? He's one of the best characters in that movie next to Olaf and Sven. And it's so fun to walk through his shop and see all the like details they put in there. It's just awesome that it's part of the queue. And then another really cool part is you go through, like you pass this dark hallway and there's this little like digital square, like you don't realize it's a screen, but it's basically Oaken in his sauna. So you just see like the steam and then he's woohoo, It's so cool. And I love that part. And then it's a family-friendly roller coaster that winds through the Arendelle Forest. That's kind of the theme there. And you do see an Olaf and Sven animatronic before you kind of climb up to like the little hill that you're going to go down. And it's so freaking cute. And it's very short and sweet, this ride. And it's a little bit similar to like Snow White's, like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. And I watched a ride through of it because it's been a year since I've been on it. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, that's the shortest ride I've ever been on. It's not that short. I mean, when I was watching it, it felt so short when I was on it. And I think part of it was just like, I didn't want to get off. Like the coaster itself is adorable, like all the Nordic details of even just the roller coaster cars. But when you're on it, you just want to be on it longer, I guess. And I guess if you're waiting a super long line, we rope dropped it. We were on it in like 2 minutes. I mean, I definitely spent more time just slowly going through and admiring the queue than anything else. But I was also kind of conscious about like, okay, we got to get into the next one too, because I don't want to wait super long. But yeah, it was kind of over so fast, but it was definitely worth going. It's a very smooth coaster. It's very beautiful to go through the area that they created for it. And it was so much fun seeing Olaf and Sven in another area too, because they're the best. And anyway, then we kind of get off that ride and went straight over to go on the Frozen Ever After. This ride is almost a carbon copy of its friend over at Epcot, the Frozen Ever After ride. To the point where there were differences, but you'd be hard pressed to pick them out because they were so similar. The ride building is built into kind of the side of the mountain, which is very cool. And it kind of makes sense because, you're going in this boat ride through the mountain and it takes you in to see Elsa's ice castle. So you are making that journey from where you are in Arendelle over to what is off to the left when you're entering the ride, that ice castle I spoke about. Elsa's ice castle is up and it's off into the distance. So that's actually that was done really well and really cool. The animatronics, Epcot has now adopted at least Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff. But our Sven and our Olaf are still adorable, but they're not the same level of animatronic that Hong Kong Disney has. And those are really cool. And in fact, the Olaf is pretty much the same as the Wandering Olaf that I just can't even. I'm so excited about the Wandering Olaf in Paris. He's so cute. It's just like him. Same level of amazingness. So it's really cool to see. And it's definitely worth going and checking it out if you're going to be over there. Don't miss going to Disney. And again, without getting too sidetracked as I like to do for myself, it's a very inexpensive park to go to as an American with American money over there. So it's not like going to Disney World or Disneyland here, where you have to, save up or whatever to get over there. This is way more affordable. So go. Anyway, so the other thing that they have over there is the Playhouse in the Woods. So staying on the Frozen Ever After, the scene at the end with like the town and there's like a whole firework display on like a massive screen in the room, obviously, is incredible, very cool. And from what I understand, the drop at the Hong Kong Disney one is bigger and more thrilling. So that's exciting. But everything about the ride is very, very similar. And the other thing is, and I know our lighting got upgraded too at Epcot, but their scenes in general are just brighter and more upgraded that way as well. Okay, moving along, I do want to talk about, there is a show that we didn't get to go check out, but I can tell you right now, after watching a snippet, because I hate to spoil things for myself, of the show, I will be going back and I will be seeing the full show. It's called Playhouse in the Woods. Listen, this is for whoever wants to go to it, but it is calling to children. But I will be going. It is a show about Summer Snow Day, which celebrates the connections between family, friends, and community. And doesn't that sound lovely? It is a sing-along-ish show. It has really amazing, gorgeous stage. It is a room that you're in, and the stage and the screens are all around you-ish. So it's not like you're going to sit down in chairs and watch a show. You're kind of like it's more interactive because Anna and Elsa are going to come out and they're going to go up to, young people and ask them questions or whatever. It's immersive, but not in a cheesy way. This show is incredible. The lighting, the special effects it's doing, it's so beautiful. And then without getting choked up, they do a part of in the beginning that na 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 hey ya na, that whole part, I can feel it right in my chest every time I watch it, and I can hear it when I'm thinking about it. That song, it just I immediately get choked up. It's so beautiful. But they do that, and you're singing it with, Anna teaches it to you, and then you're singing it. The whole room is singing it. And then Elsa, there's like a whole magical moment, and then Elsa comes out. But the special effects are stunning. I mean, what they did in there is really cool. So don't miss it if you're interested in something like that. And I think you should be. Kids or no kids, go in there. I'll probably end up at that show by myself. Actually, Mason will come with me. And then I will drag my husband and daughter to it later because I'll be like, you guys, you missed, you have to see, And then they'll come in and Coco will be like, it was okay. We could have been on a ride. That's exactly how it's going to go. I'm going to do it anyway. Anyways, so it's a gorgeous interactive story featuring those guys. Olaf is so cute up there, and he's the one I'm talking about. He's like the little wandering Olaf. So he looks so real, And the cool thing about it too is he speaks Cantonese, but Anna and Elsa are speaking English, and in fact they're English actors, so they've obviously either, I don't know, they live over there for some reason, or they were cast and went over specifically for that. That's what I'm thinking. But it's really cool because, again, they're great about doing these at the international parks, where your kids are going to get a really cool cultural experience, and it's not like you're not going to know what's going on. You know what I mean? They're doing it in a way that they're getting that experience. And Frozen Ever After, the ride is the same. So like the little part that you kind of go through. I just want you to know, I do have this video up on Instagram and TikTok, so you can see a little bit pieces of the ride through. It's not the entire 20-minute ride, 10-minute ride through, whatever it is, 7 minutes. It's little pieces, so it's a good shaved down minute. But like some of the trolls are speaking in Chinese, and then you have other people in the same room. So the main troll guy, he's speaking English. And then there's a cute one of the little kid trolls that kind of interact with him. And she is speaking Chinese in her cute little kid voice. And you know what's going on because he's telling the story and speaking. And then she says something. He's like, yes, you're right. It is time for bed, whatever. So you always know what's going on. And it's just a very cool kind of cultural element when you go to these different parks that they incorporate for everybody, which is really neat. So that's the Frozen area. We're going to move on to Fantasyland. It's a big area similar to the Disneyland California area. It is larger. This one doesn't stay in my mind as much. I had to kind of go back and remind myself. It is behind the castle, similar again to the Anaheim Fantasyland and, Disney World as well. The really cool thing that did stand out to me is their small world. The fascia is similar to the Disneyland one in that it's outside. It has the clock face, the tilting clock face, and the gorgeous Mary Blair, art kind of like exterior. But it's huge. It's huge, and it's really, really amazing. So that area I remembered specifically for that reason. They do have a carousel. It's the Cinderella carousel. They do have the Dumbo flying elephants. They do have Mickey's PhilharMagic over there, a little show that you can go watch. They do have the cutest Fantasyland train station. I took pictures of this train station because I was like, this is so cute. I couldn't get over it. They do have the Mad Hatter teacups. And then they have this fairy tale forest meet and greet with Tinkerbell. And that is really cool. And I would wait and go there at night because when that thing is lit up, it is so pretty. And you can take really gorgeous photos back there. And we did do some of that. It was just fun. And you can see Tinkerbell's little tinker table where she works. It was just a really beautiful little gardeny area that had really huge area of interactive sort of Tinkerbell, area where you would meet Tinkerbell, I guess, during the day. But I would recommend going at night, unless you have a little that really wants to meet Tinkerbell, then obviously go do that. But at nighttime, it's really pretty. They had a really cool gift shop in Fantasyland that I really enjoyed because I love the movie Sword in the Stone because I'm old. And that was one of my childhood favorites. But Merlin's gift shop, and it's like his little cottage. It was so cute. So that's neat. And they also had the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. They like their Winnie the Pooh over there, and it's, similar to the Winnie the Pooh ride that we have. So then there's Fantasy Gardens, and the Fantasy Gardens, oh, they were so pretty. Think about the Storybook Canal at Disneyland where, you're on the boat and you kind of float past the different castles and stuff. It's like a walking version of that. And I love that because you can spend a little more time. And it's cool. They had like these gilded large like picture frames. And they weren't for a picture. It was just literally like a picture frame. So when you stand in front of it and you look through it, you see the different respective princess's castle or scene. And the picture frame had like a gilded item on it as well to represent the princess. It's a beautiful, and again, I would go at night because the way they have this area lit up, it's so romantic and pretty. I loved being back there. Another great area just to, get away from some of the chaos and just touch grass. You know what I mean? You need it sometimes in these parks, Mickey and the Wondrous Book inside the Storybook Theater. We did go watch the show, Mickey and the Wondrous Book, and it was so amazing. I completely forgot about this show. That's how amazing it was. I forgot about it. Well, we went to like 2 different parks in 2 weeks. So anyway, humble brag. No, just kidding. I loved this show so much. It was so cool. And I just have to say, every time I go somewhere and I'm like, I don't care about the show, let's go do rides. I am not like that anymore because every time I go somewhere and see a show, no matter where it's at, I'm always so glad I stopped and went. And again, it's going to be a blending of the languages. There's going to be some English and there's going to be some Chinese and whatever. It's great. It's a very well done, really cool tech experience and one that everybody will enjoy. Nobody was like, that show was lame. It was just really amazing. So definitely like make time for some of this stuff and we'll circle back to that later. Tomorrowland. Let's keep going. Let's get through over to Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland is in a lot of ways kind of a classic Tomorrowland. They have the Hyperspace Mountain. So theirs is the Star Wars version at all times. It's not like a seasonal thing like at Disneyland, which adds an element of excitement. I mean, I really enjoy that version with the Star Wars, battle that's going on. It's very cool. It's got a very futuristic theme, but it's dominated by Marvel and Star Wars. So You have the Hyperspace Mountain, like I talked about, and then you have the Iron Man experience, which is actually the first Marvel themed ride in a Disney park. The Iron Man experience is essentially you are visiting the Stark Expo in Tomorrowland to see Tony Stark's new Iron Wing vehicle. So that's going to be like the ride that you're boarding. You're boarding the Iron Wing vehicle, operated by Jarvis, which is like his computer AI, right? The tour turns into a battle as guests assist Iron Man in fighting Hydra agents attacking Hong Kong. So this is where it gets really cool. So essentially, you're going to go and file into like a very Star Tours, if you've ever been on Star Tours. It's an open room with rows of seating because it is a 3D motion simulator. And when you're going through these scenes, it's so cool because, first of all, it is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, which is really cool. And he's taking you all through Hong Kong. So it is really cool. I mean, and we did this at the front end of the trip. So before we even like got to see anywhere else with our, in Hong Kong, it was really neat. They had like all these iconic buildings, and it's literally like you're in Hong Kong having this, big battle. And then it was just a really crazy, really cool experience. So that was that ride. And then we also did the Ant-Man and Wasp Nano Battle. And basically, this ride is like such an upgraded version, but it's basically replacing like their Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. And it feels like very cool tech because the blasters like glow. They're really cool. And then the screen usage is done really well. It kind of reminds me of the same tech as the Avengers Campus Spider-Man ride, Web Slingers at Disney California, but a better use of the scenery and the screens, because I felt like the Web Slinger ride for me was just like too much screen, This is more of, you have a good balance of like actual set pieces that look amazing blended with screens as your targets. And it's still going to be where you're competing to see who gets, the most points if you want to or whatever. And that's always fun. And a little competition. They have the Orbitron. So that's kind of like that planety looking thing. But their cars, when you enter a Tomorrowland anywhere. But their version, the cars that kind of you're going to be in that go, you control going up and go down. It's one of those spinning kind of rides. So I don't ride it. But they look more like spaceship flying saucery looking cars. They're really cool looking. So that's, so this still gives you that Tomorrowland feeling, the classic Tomorrowland feeling. And, it's a giant mishmash of things like every Tomorrowland. I know it's mean. I say that out loud. I mean, but it is a mishmash of stuff. Like we can all agree, right? There's also the other thing I want to mention is back there. There's also the Star Wars Command Post. So that's like a meet and greet area for characters like Chewbacca and BB-8, which is really fun for them. Next, we went and traveled over to the Toy Story Land. This Toy Story Land felt almost like a carbon copy to me of like the Toy Story Land that they have over at Disneyland Paris. So it's different to the Disney World version. It kind of almost feels like a little arm, like a little round, like a semicircle that you kind of travel through around the edge of the park somehow. So you have stuff dotted on either side of that little semicircle. So you have the RC Racer, which is just kind of that coaster that goes up this way and then swoosh you back out. I'm not a fan. I think I went on it one time and I don't know. Everybody loves that ride. I'm just a giant baby, I guess, when it comes to that one. The Toy Soldier parachute drop. So essentially, if you're a Disneyland park goer, the Jumping Jellyfish and Paris and also Hong Kong has the Army Soldier version, which is really fun. So it's the same thing. You kind of go up and then it kind of bounces you down. It's not scary. It's fine for kids and stuff. It's a great area of the park for this too. If you have like kids that are younger, and they can pretty much go on everything. And if they're brave, they can go on the RC Racers too. Then they have the Slinky Dog Spin. So this is another kind of cars, all connected because you're on Slinky, and then they just continually kind of go around. And again, not going to ride that one because it's spinning sort of, but it's very cute. And it's another great ride if you have littles. And then if you go over to the Barrel of Fun in Andy's backyard, you can meet characters like Woody, Jesse, and Buzz, which is super fun. Okay, moving on. We're now headed into Adventureland. Adventureland is super expansive. It very much felt like Animal Kingdom to me, which I loved. And I mean, there's exotic, trees and plants everywhere. It just had that Animal Kingdom vibe to me. It was so cool. There's this Moana stage show, which is incredible. So well done. And it was one of those things that it was like, you could just kind of walk up to it. You didn't have to file into a theater and blah, blah, blah. You just could just walk up to it, watch it for a bit, walk on. It was like, and I love that. It was like really cool. The stage was amazing. The actors were amazing. The costumes, the kind of like the puppeteering type stuff they were doing was really awesome. What a great story. It is in English. I think they had a couple characters who weren't, but it's very true to the movie. So they're going to have the songs and, defeating Taka. Like that whole thing is part of the story. It's very, very well done and very cool to see. They also have Festival of the Lion King over in Adventureland, which harkens back to my Animal Kingdom vibes. It's definitely giving that for sure. So you can go see Festival of the Lion King, which is really cool. And then their Jungle Cruise. Their Jungle Cruise is really cool. So there's going to be 3 different lines. The first thing you will notice is in our Jungle Cruises, obviously for space and where they're located, you don't really see the boats until you're kind of right up on the ride. You see the queue and you kind of see the boats once you're in the queue. This thing is expansive. It's a huge river that you can see that goes around the Tarzan treehouse over there, which you can take rafts to and go up. And it's a huge, like very wide river, and you can see these boats from many different parts of the park. So it's very much a part of the atmosphere, which is really cool. The setting of the ride starts at the Jungle Navigation Company boathouse in a British colony designed with 1930s thematic elements. The journey. Boats pass through areas featuring a guerrilla camp, African veldt, and a dangerous territory with headhunters firing at the vessel. There's a piranha attack. There's a trap safari. These were scenes that were added later on, and also a shower from a bathing elephant. The finale. This is kind of what I wanted to talk about, but the ride, it has a crazy confrontation between like a fire god, a water god, and there's a whole steam-filled escape, but there's pyro, fire that happens. There's gushing water and steam, and this is very much more like the Jungle Cruise movie feeling. It's not trying to be, dad jokes, puns. It's more of an adventure ride, so it's different. Cast members do add their own spin on stuff. They're encouraged to do that there, but it's very much more of an adventure, and less of just like a jokey ride. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I don't think I knew that when we first went on it, because I was like, that was so cool, because you're just totally taken in by these very expansive scenes from the Jungle Cruise that we just don't have in our parks. But you're also like, it wasn't that funny, but it's not supposed to be funny. I wish I would have known that in the beginning. But it was very, very cool. They also do like a Halloween overlay there at that ride, which I would love to check out. It's really cool. And it's called The Curse of the Emerald Trinity. And it has a thief trying to steal like cursed emeralds. So it sounds really fun and cool. There's 3 different ride queues. Like I said before, there's Mandarin, Cantonese, and English. We did go on the English because we wanted to hear what the story was, obviously. And what I noticed about this park, they have a lot of, I'm going to call them sensory areas. They have areas throughout each land that are just kind of like cool little play areas that aren't an attraction. You can't get food. They're just like cool little things that kids can just like go and just burn off some wiggles. Like they're not standing in or sitting in their stroller. I mean, they can go and there's like cool, like little built-in musical different things they can walk up to and just go do. So we had some fun kind of playing in that area. And we did get to see Daisy and Donald in this area, and they were dressed really cute. So that was fun in their little adventure outfits. And I will also put up a picture of that. So yeah, so that's pretty much it for the area. There's some like little, food type areas and stuff like that. Um, but overall, I think the main thing over there to go see is obviously the Jungle Cruise. It's very cool. So we're gonna head over to an area that they call Grizzly Gulch. So this is gonna be kind of like their frontier land, if you will, like Western town, and it's an abandoned mining town founded in 8888. So 8 is the most auspicious. There's that word again. Number in Chinese culture because its pronunciation ba sounds like fa, which means to prosper or to get rich. So that's why it was founded in 8888. And it felt abandoned aside from the water guns and attraction. So you definitely get that feeling of the abandoned mining town. Because I was like, we went back there, and I'll get into their main attraction, but I was kind of like, what's over here? You know what I mean? And they did have like a little quick service window. And I couldn't even tell you what they were selling because we didn't stay there very long. Because aside from the attraction and this other little area they'll talk about, there wasn't like anything over there. So it was like a whole themed area just for those kind of two things. So it's very cool. I mean, they spent a lot of time to really make this area that you walk back into pretty awesome just for having those two, attractions. I'm wondering if they're going to like add anything in the future to that area just because they've done so much just for those two attractions. And that's kind of the theme of these next two areas I'm going to talk about. But they are both equally amazing and not to be missed. This one has the Big Grizzly Mountain Railway mine cars. Okay. The mountain resembles the Grizzly Peak from Disney's California Adventure, if you've been there. So where Frontierland is just more like stone and westerny kind of, obviously, so not many trees. This is different, a little bit different, because it's very much more like, trees and mountains instead of just, whatever. Anyway, the animatronic bears are sending riders on a chaotic journey through a gold mine after a bear accidentally switches the track. And then there's some like explosion elements too. The bears are messing with TNT, baby, and they shouldn't be. It's the fastest ride at Hong Kong Disney, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that because like Hyperspace Mountain, I think because it's in the dark, you kind of feel like you're going faster. Like if I'm trying to remember the ride right, I didn't think it was like the fastest ride I'd ever been on. But then when I like look back and think about all the different ride elements they have, I guess I just don't really put it in my brain that way, but it is. So there you go. So this ride combines elements of Big Thunder Mountain Railway, Expedition Everest, and Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventures because it goes obviously the coaster goes forwards. It goes backwards. It has a fake out like lift hill, and it also has like those high speed launches like Hagrid's does, which is really cool. I mean, this ride would be the cousin to Big Thunder Mountain Railway, but way cooler. I mean, I guess I just like heard nothing about this park. I just have never heard anybody really talk about this park. And I'm just so baffled by it because some of the stuff they are doing over here, they're so different to anything any of the other Disney parks have, and this is one of them. So, you have those bursts of speed. You have this part where you go up, it stops, kind of like Expedition Everest, and then goes backwards. There's just a lot of really cool elements in this ride. It was super fun to go on, and I can see definitely why it got its own area because it's that much of an attraction. There is this area too back in Grizzly Gulch, and it's called a Feudin' Deluge. And it's essentially like a water gun fight set between like a blacksmith shop and a dry goods store. But it's really cool. So there's all these like, I guess like water gun type, things, but you're basically like shooting at each other across these two shops. And then there's a middle area where people can run through too. So if it's like a hot summer day, that would be a lot of fun for anybody. And there was, all different, ages and sizes back there. I avoided a little bit. It was a little bit chilly this day. Like in the sun, it felt good, but it was definitely like a little on the chilly side. Nothing unbearable by any means. Like a light jacket was fine, but yeah, I was not looking to get like super soaked over there. They do have this Lucky Springs geyser, which is a natural themed fountain that can soak guests standing too close. So it's got like a little wooden fence around it, and it's like a geyser. So it shoots up the water, and then obviously if you're standing right there, then you can get wet. And there's also a Wild West photo spot where you can get character photos with Mickey and Minnie in their Western gear. So that's fun. Okay, so now we are getting over to Mystic Point. Mystic Point was my favorite area of the park, which it sounds a little ridiculous because, again, there is like one attraction, but it was my favorite attraction. It's okay. So Mystic Point is set in like a dense, uncharted rainforest, and it's surrounded by mysterious forces and supernatural events. And it's again, like in Papua New Guinea, but whatever. It's like a rainforest that that was discovered, this area. And in the center of Mystic Point is our Mystic Manor. Mystic Manor has the most amazing backstory to it. So let's start out by just saying this. Mystic Manor is the cousin to the Haunted Mansion. This is their version. They didn't want to do a Haunted Mansion because, like, in Chinese culture, spirits are often respected rather than feared. You know, it's just a very different take. It's a healthier take on death. And a haunted theme would be perceived very negative and confusing. Like, why? What is this ride? Why is this here? You know. So instead of scaring littles with ghosts and scary things, I love the Haunted Mansion. Don't get me wrong. My kids would not go on it till they were way older. So we went to the park many a time and didn't get to go on it. This is not that. And in fact, when we were there, I saw like, you know, a teacher with all the little school children. And that was like their, you know, their day out at Disney. And we saw quite a few different school groups actually of little kids. It was really cool. And they were all standing in line for this ride. And I just thought, like, yeah, you would never be able to do that with kids their age at Haunted Mansion. Like, you'd have a couple of kids who maybe had gone on it and would go on it. But there's a lot of kids who look at that, you know, very ominous Haunted Mansion building. And they're like, nope, not for me, you know, which is totally understandable. So basically, yeah, the Haunted Mansion, they just needed to avoid the cultural insensitivity regarding, you know, ghosts in the afterlife altogether. Danny Elfman composed the musical score for this attraction. So if you don't know who he is, you might know him from the score. He worked on a lot of the Tim Burton movies, so Nightmare Before Christmas, and also the modern Alice in Wonderland, and also The Simpsons. So the Mystic Manor is home of Lord Henry Mystic, who is a well-to-do Englishman. And it is a trackless ride system developed at Pooh's Honey Hunt in Tokyo Disneyland. But they kept tweaking it. You can watch a whole video about this, but they kept working at this trackless ride system. So it is super, super high-tech, smart ride system. And it very much changed the game with trackless ride systems. So just getting back to Lord Henry Mystic, learn a little bit more about him and his Mystic Manor. His manor is like a museum. He keeps all of, you know, his artifacts from the different adventures that he has gone on. And he is a member of the Society of Explorers, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But he and his monkey Albert, and he did rescue Albert, and he named Albert after his beloved uncle. And you can kind of see the little story of how he met this little cute monkey Albert, because when you're in the queue, you're going to go through the different, you know, hallways waiting your turn to ride the ride. And you're going to see kind of like an art picture story framed along the walls and other things that you're going to see along the walls because you're in his home. So the way it's done is like you're walking down the hallways of his house. You're going to see pictures that aren't anywhere else. Like there's a really cool picture of Walt and Roy when they're younger, you know, standing with a bunch of people in one of the photographs, a black and white photograph. So there's the Imagineers really like took their time with details in this ride to the point where like two of the main Imagineers that worked on this they have put themselves in this as members, like their likenesses, like cartoon drew themselves, as the Society of Explorers, and you can see them in some of the photographs too, which is really cool. And I didn't know all that, so the next time I go back on this ride, I'm gonna have a look because it's so cool. So some of these, another like Easter egg, I want to say this. One of these persons in the Society of Explorers, his name was Harrison Hightower, and he's from the Tokyo Disney Sea Tower of Terror storyline, and he was a bad guy. In fact, Lord Henry Mystic, the owner of this manor, he was considered the most honest member of this Society of Explorers and Adventurers. But anyway, so the queue is a lot of fun. There's a lot to look at, which I always appreciate, because sometimes they can be long and boring. But he fell in love with the area where the Mystic Manor is located, Mystic Point. And so he decided to stake his claim on that area and build this beautiful Victorian house, which is now Mystic Manor. And he wanted to open his doors, and he wanted to share his eclectic collection of items from his travels with anyone that made the hard journey to Mystic Point, and that is us. And during his travels in Bali, Indonesia, he acquired an enchanted music box in 1909 during his travels. So on this box, there's featured a carved like monkeys and a bright red jewel. Okay. So this box is actually really important because it's the basis of the whole story that you're gonna go on for the ride. So there is a pre-show, and it's like an old-fashioned projector show, and it features heavily this Balinese music box and the monkey, on this box. And anyways, the ride essentially is taking you on a tour of his manor / kind of museum. And you encounter in the beginning, like after you've done the pre-show, you get on the carts, which again, there's a whole thing about these carts that gonna take you through the ride. So they're part of the story. They've put a lot of thought into it, every little detail. And the first room you go to is kind of like his cataloging room. So it's where he catalogs all his antiquities and eclectic items that he has from his travels. And he kind of pops in. It's this really cute, really cool animatronic of Lord Henry Mystic. And he greets you and he tells you about the music box, the Balinese music box. You can see it's right in front of you. And he lets you know that he's looking for Albert, his little monkey. And then he departs. And, he's like, enjoy your time at the mansion, whatever, the museum. And then the monkey pops up, and he is so cute. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. And, you can't make out what he's saying. He kind of sounds Abu-ish if you've seen Aladdin. If you haven't, get on that one. But Albert, of course, touches the music box because he's a monkey. He's a curious George. And at this point, this is when your adventure is going to start. The light dims, the box opens, and all these like little whimsy like particles start spilling out of this box. And when the lights are down, these scrims kind of come down. You can't see them, but the way that this whole room works is insane. You see these particles like floating through the air, going all over this room. And every object throughout the museum, the manor that these particles touch comes to life. And they come to life in the coolest way. It's so amazing. And then this is when your trackless vehicle is going to start going throughout the rooms. There's a music room that you go into. So like all these little particles, any of the musical instruments they touch, these musical instruments come to life and they start playing. And that's where the score kind of kicks in that we talked about that Danny Elfman did. And there's a Mediterranean antiquities room. So like the pottery comes to life and different things. There's Nordic chambers. There's a solarium. And the solarium is where things start to get a little dark. Like at first it's very fun. Not dark, like super scary, but more of an adventure vibe. So at first, all these rooms are pretty harmless. The things are coming to life, but nothing like, scary, or I said I wouldn't use the word scary. Nothing too creepy's happening, right? That you need to be worried as a guest in this museum. But when you get to the solarium, they have those huge Venus flytrap plants. That's when those start coming to life. And now you're like, whoa, we're maybe not loving everything coming to life anymore. So then you're in the arms room, which is where you have like suit of arms, weapons. Now it's a problem. Things are coming to life because now things are starting to attack the guests. You have these headpieces. They're attached from the suit of arms, like next to them. And they are like singing. So they're doing like a little homage to like the Haunted Mansion heads that sing. It's really cute. And then there's like a suit of arm version of Trader Sam from the Jungle Cruise. That's really cool. And he comes to life. There's an Egyptian room you go through that a bunch of different, like an open sarcophagus thing. And very cool effects throughout this whole thing. I'm kind of skimming through these rooms, but lots of really cool stuff happens. And there's a part where it looks like bugs are starting to fall on you. So that's, whatever. Problem with bugs and your problem. But there's also a tribal arts room. And several of the figures taken directly from the Tiki Room are featured here, and they come to life, and that is very cool to see. And there's the antagonist from Tokyo Disney Sea's Tower of Terror, which is like this weird monkey-looking thing, but scarier, and that thing is in there. And that thing is actually scary. That is in the pre-show at the Tower of Terror, and that did scare me a little bit. It was very cool, but it's weird, and that thing's in there. And he's like alive, so that's weird. So anyway, now Albert's in trouble. He gets pinned to the wall at some point by arrows, and he's got a problem now, right? Because he's unleashed this power in the mansion. He's in trouble. But now we find ourselves in a room that comes to life with a jade monkey. Okay, this thing is this huge tower in the middle of this room, this big jade monkey thing, and he comes to life, and he starts blasting holes all around you. It's like your cars are going in a circle, you and everybody else, around this jade monkey. And all around the walls are like being blasted off of this room. It's incredible. And because they're all screens and you're seeing things flying around, parts of like photographs, like there's a panda that falls out of the photograph and he's getting blown off, and just like, it's just so cool. So that happens. So now the next room that you come into, it kind of cuts to a new scene of little Albert closing the music box and all the particles going back into the music box. And that's kind of the end of the story. And we're all saved, and all the artifacts start, attacking the people. I said it wasn't scary. It's really not scary. It feels more like an adventure, It's not like spooky scary the way Haunted Mansion is. I mean, there's some parts of Haunted Mansion too where I'm like, ugh, but it never feels like that. It just feels like a really fun adventure. And the other thing that's funny is like at the very end, Lord Henry Mystic, he comes in, he's like, oh, there you are, Albert, blah, blah, blah. And Albert's clothes are trashed because of his crazy adventure. And, he got pinned against the wall with the arrow. So he had to obviously rip his clothes to get off the wall and stuff. It's very cool. Very cute. So I got off that ride and I was just like, what did I just go on? That was incredible. Like, we don't have any other dark ride like it. It's so amazing. And I will go so far as to say, and I had to really think about this because I was like, well, the Beauty and the Beast dark ride is really cool. This has got to be my favorite dark ride I've ever gone on ever. Like, this thing was so incredible. There's nothing like it anywhere else. The Mystic Manor itself, from the outside, even though it's like that Victorian style, they still took in the design of it. There's like a little Russian tower looking thing. There's like an Asian architectural points in it. There's like a Moroccan looking vibes. They blended all this stuff. So the Mystic Manor itself, during the daytime, like the colors of it, and even at nighttime when it's like lit up, this thing is incredible to look at. It's so beautiful. The other really cool thing about it is if you walk around it, there is a like attached restaurant, and we did eat here, and it was so good. So the restaurant is called the Explorers Club Restaurant. It's a restaurant that Sir Henry built, and he built his little club restaurant to resemble 5 countries that he admired. So it's the same: China, India, Russia, Morocco, and Egypt. And what's so cool about this restaurant, like you walk in And they were offering some kind of special or something. I don't recall exactly. There's just people standing outside to let you know like what the deal is with the restaurant, which is different to, you know, most dining experiences at Disney, I think. But the we went for it because we were so full from the breakfast that we had. But like I just told you about, like, you know, 5 different lands that we just like went from boom, boom, boom. And I don't think we ate all day because we were so full from breakfast. If you have a really good breakfast, I feel like you can do it. You can push through. And also we didn't really come across like, I didn't feel like there was as much representation of like snack culture at this park than like, say, our parks here, and even like Tokyo. I feel like snacks were bigger, but here, it, you know, I mean, you could go seek them out. There's definitely places you're never going to go hungry here. I'll tell you that right now. And they do have snacks. And they do have plenty of that, like bakery items and everything. But it just wasn't like as noticeable to me. I'll have another look at that the next time I go. But there wasn't like, you didn't just pass, like, I don't feel like a ton of carts that were just selling different kinds of foods or snacks, you know. But anyway, we weren't even like, I don't even really remember feeling hungry. We had such a big breakfast and it was so filling. But by now we're hungry, like we're ready to eat. And so we went into this Explorers Club restaurant, and each room, like you check in and there's the big buffet area. I'm not really one for a buffet, but this was a little bit different, I will say. There were different rooms that you could go sit in, and I believe got sat in the Morocco room, but you could go and like look at the other rooms, and they were all done so amazing. There was a China room, and it had like big jade, different statues, and it was like, you know, dark woods, and it was really cool. There was an India room, a Russia room, a Morocco room, and an Egypt room, and they were all incredibly decorated and very, very different. And like if you were in that room, like you were definitely in that theming. We were in the Morocco room, and it was really beautiful. And basically you sit down, you get a menu, and you're going to pick, you know, what meal you want. So the menu is very eclectic, you know, with these different international themings that they have going on. I know that my son got the butter chicken, and it was absolutely I think I got the butter chicken too. It was so delicious. But on top of that, you also have access to this buffet area. So they had the most food over there, and just really fresh, really good, really amazing variety of all different kinds of foods, desserts. And they had the cutest little desserts. Like, I'll put some up on social, but there was like this little dragon face. And I mean, it was a dragon face. Like it was like carved into this like dragon mask face. That was really cool. Then they had like a cute little like, I don't know if it was like a cupcake or something with whipped cream, and they had like the little edible wafer with Albert, the little monkey, on it. So of course I had to grab that. And they had really great everything: soups, salads, desserts. And when I say soup and salad, don't think like, oh, you know, you went and ate at a regular. It was very cool, really well done food. And we rolled out of this place. I mean, we were fit to burst. But I don't think we ate again, obviously, after that. We just like, that carried us through the rest of the night. So, but the food was delicious, and I would go there again. And then the other thing about the Mystic Manor is they had very beautiful bathrooms as well. I do want to talk about the bathrooms because if you haven't been somewhere like Hong Kong or China, different parts of China, and I know other parts of the world also have these, but it's the first time I've ever seen them. I've heard about them, but I've never seen them. Even at the park, in these nice bathrooms that you have in the parks, there are the toilets that are just like a hole in the ground. And I just thought that was so interesting. I did not try it. It's not for me. I would have fallen in that hole. It was not an option. That was not the day for that trial. You know what I mean? But I just thought it was really interesting because like you hear about stuff like that, but then that's the first time I've ever like came across something like that. So it was kind of neat. Anyway, different strokes for different folks. Not for me. I use the regular toilet, but you do you. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, that was really cool. So that is the park. Really amazing experiences. Highly, highly recommend. And just so cool how they had such an interesting collection of what I felt like a peppering of the other parks throughout it. And I really enjoyed that about it. I thought it was really neat. And because even though there's only, you know, one park just the Disneyland area, you really feel like there's multiple because there's so many things that kind of get put together from places that you, if you're a huge Disney park goer, you may have already been, but it's always got a little bit of a different twist on it, which is really fun. I talked about earlier, I made a point to kind of say, in a little bit of a sarcastic, jokey way about being there for one day and getting through the park in one day. You can. I really wish we had the 2 days because one day you are ride to ride, and we did get on everything. We even went on the train, and which was really amazing. And there's only 2 stations at the park to get off and on the train. So think about that while you're there. But it was a really wonderful, experience getting on the train and taking it around. And you can meet Duffy and Friends here too. They have a really cute, like interactive in a way. Like you can go take photos. They have these adorable playhouse looking like little table, or for each character, whatever their corresponding aesthetic would be. You can go through and take pictures while you're waiting to take the picture with the character. And we did do that. Because I think my son wanted to wait in that line to meet Duffy, and it was like the longest line. And the other thing that I noticed is people are so into those characters, and there are people that had like the large stuffies. Like, this is not a judgment call. This is just something I noticed. Everybody live your life. You know how I feel about all that, but they had like there's life-size Duffy characters, and there's one woman that I was just so like enthralled with watching because she had this stuffy of, I can't remember which character it was right now, but it could have been her child. She was just, and some people would think that was weird, and you're going to watch this and be like, what a freak. It was just really sweet. I mean, she loved this little stuffy, and she was holding it and patting it. It was obviously bringing her a lot of comfort. So whatever you guys think about that, I don't care. I'm here to support it. It was really sweet, but you could go in and meet your favorite characters. And to be honest with you, these Duffy characters were just, I mean, people were waiting in this line. I mean, I think we waited at least an hour. It's the longest line I did all day, because another thing I want to say about these parks are they are not crowded. That park is not crowded. We walked around this park and felt like it was just such a lovely day. People are respectful. It's a beautiful park. They all are. But you don't feel like you're in the throng. And I can't think of many times, and especially, and none of this is a negative on any park. We all want to go to these parks and experience them, and that is why they are busy, and that's okay. But you never feel like you're in the throng. It's a very wonderfully relaxing experience. And you're never in this crazy line for anything, or there's just like a bottleneck of people somewhere. It's not like that. It's the most wonderful day. The weather, especially in Hong Kong, most of the year is wonderful. And in fact, when you look at the different Christmas parties, my vote would be here. And the reason is you're not going to be in a situation, even at its peak time, like the other parks are going to be at Christmas time. It's going to be, for one, the weather is going to be way bearable. When I did that Christmas show, I listed all the weather for that period of time when the Christmas parties are on. And I think Hong Kong was like sitting around like 68 degrees or something. I mean, sign me up for that. Some of these places are getting snow, and I know you've heard me complain about the cold at Tokyo while we were there, which I love that park, but it was freezing. This place, you're going to be able to just really, we had like light jackets. It was sunny and gorgeous. I mean, you could come into rain there for sure. They have their rainy season, so you need an umbrella. But aside from that, it's a very comfortable and completely gorgeous park to be walking around. Not only is it not going to be super crowded, and you will see bigger crowds, I guess, on holidays, obviously, but nothing like our parks. And you're going to have such a wonderful time because of that. If you have littles, you probably feel a little more comfortable with them just like walking, a couple more steps ahead of you, because they're not going to get mowed down by a stroller or somebody just sideswiping them, not looking where they're going. The food options I felt were really good. The nature part of this park is stunning. I mean, obviously they have weather to grow all kinds of amazing trees and plants, and they do. It is a beautiful park. I mentioned the mountains around the castle are just so amazing to see. So, yeah, I mean, if you are thinking about, traveling to some of the other Disney parks and seeing some of the other places that you can go to in Hong Kong, this is not one to be missed. And I hope you do. And getting back to my original thought 5 minutes ago, I wished we would have done 2 days. Yeah. Because there were a couple of shows and things and just the rushing around. I would have loved to slow down a bit more, spend more time, seeing all the different shows that they offered, and also just spending a little more time slowing down, taking in the beauty of this park. There's not a ton of attractions, but there's enough to keep you busy. There's lots of really cool different kinds of shops and experiences. They have an art of animation on Main Street as well. So I would have taken advantage of more of that kind of stuff. It's just hard because when you're traveling somewhere like some of these foreign parks, you're trying to do sightseeing as well. So I just didn't want to take away too much from that because obviously I wanted to see other parts of Hong Kong and experience that. But when we go back, I would like to at least spend 2 days there because it was, try to figure that into your trip if you can, because it really is a beautiful, beautiful park and a wonderful experience. So yeah, now I would like to bring on the hubby to see what he thought. Welcome back. I have in tow with me the great Raymond Lee. Welcome, Ray. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here. We're talking about Hong Kong Disney.
Great.
Yeah. And how did you feel about Hong Kong Disney in general, I would say?
Well, it was exciting because obviously I'm going back to my parents' homeland. So to go back to Hong Kong was always exciting. And it's always nice to go to a new Disney park when you go to California, Disneyland so many times. It's like, it gets a bit like, okay, it's old now. I need something new. So it was kind of, certainly much more exciting going somewhere new. Any new theme park's much more enjoyable, for sure.
Yeah, new experience. Well, you've been to quite a few now.
I have, yes.
And I know we haven't been to Shanghai yet. It could be a game changer, but...
Yep, that's the only one, I believe.
Yeah, of the ones that we've been to, where would you rank Hong Kong Disney?
Well, it was certainly probably the smallest Disney park, that we've been to, I would say. It was certainly much more tropical in regards to location, weather, and so on. Probably, I wouldn't say it was a really nice day when we went, and reminded me somewhat of Florida weather, but not as humid during the summer months. But it was really nice. It was probably just right, in all honesty.
It was probably one of the more perfect park days we've had.
It was so comfortable, like shorts, t-shirt. It was a little bit hot during the day, but once, the sun went in, it was cloudy as well from what I remember. But
it was like patchy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was cloudy sometimes and the sun would come out. When the sun came out, you were like, okay, it's a bit warm.
So when we're saying like heat-wise, we were probably looking about 70, 80 degrees, I would say.
Yeah.
So it was probably perfect.
Plus humidity.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, we were there over spring break. So mid-March.
Yeah, so it was perfect timing to go, in all honesty. And, we got in there early enough to do the rope drop. In fact, I think that was the first rope drop that I've ever done, from what I remember.
Could be.
Yeah.
We may have done, I think you've done California a few times, rope drop. You probably don't remember, but we'd always send somebody to go get the coffee while we waited at the gate. And then, I just have a couple of questions. What felt the most different about this park? Because they're all somewhat similar, obviously.
What was the most
different?
different?
You. And if you don't remember, it's fine.
I remember.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of Chinese people.
Okay. Including you.
was a
You
lot-
might have been the only
I
Chinese
actually
British
felt
guy, though.
normal. I felt normal.
Yeah,
I
that's a
actually
good.
fitted in for once, you know what I mean? I wasn't the 1%.
But they hear you talking, they're like, "Get out of here."
No, but I felt slotted in really well, you know. No, it was nice. It was nice to be there, to be, how can I put
With
it?
your people.
With my people, and be, I blended in,
Yeah.
not like a sore thumb sticking
Yeah.
out. So, yeah, it was kind of nice.
Yeah. And then what about the food then? Because I feel like that's like everywhere you go. Well, you're in Hong Kong, right? So
Yeah.
even the breakfast that they offered at the hotel, I mean, they offered an American breakfast, which was more like an English breakfast. I talked about that.
Well, they offered the range, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah.
They had a good range. But I mean, standard Hong Kong style breakfast was available everywhere,
Yeah.
obviously. And that was cool.
It was cool, yeah. It was. I mean, the hotel was beautiful that we stayed at. It was like
Yeah.
probably one of the most prettiest hotels Disney hotels that we stayed at. The room was fabulous, location was fabulous. The hotel overall was like, wow. It was probably the cleanest of all the Disney hotels that we've been to.
I mean, they're all so clean though.
The ones
But
in
it's
Japan was
newer.
clean. I mean, I suppose it is.
Maybe
but
'cause it felt new,
yeah, it
too.
felt really new and
Yeah.
just like
Like, it
really
was, like,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Mhm.
And the look, it certainly reminded me a bit kind of like Alani. I know we mentioned that before, where you go to the back of the hotel and it just overlooks the harbour, and it was just beautiful.
The views
Yeah.
were gorgeous
Yeah.
there. Is there anything about the park? I know like it was a year ago, and I think because we kind of did back-to-back parks. And on that note, have you heard there's like a private charter like Disney experience where I can't remember how many planes. It's a small plane, but they take you to every Disney park around the world.
This
It's
is
like
news to me.
mega expensive.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Sure.
Isn't it like the $20 million thing that you pay and you can
I
get
don't know if it's $20
you
million.
get like
Is it?
Yeah, it's something like this. It's $20 million ticket that you can buy and you can go to Disney. I don't know.
20
Yeah,
million?
it's 20 million. I don't know the ins and
That
outs of it,
feels
but I
like a
remember
lot.
hearing something about it. Yeah, you can Google it.
I am
like-
going to Google it. The Disney parks around the world, a private jet adventure, is a 24-day luxury trip offered by Adventures by Disney and involves flying on a private jet to all 12 Disney theme parks worldwide, along with 3 other iconic landmarks for approximately $110,000 to $115,000 per person. So it includes
How many theme parks did you just say?
12.
How
They're-
was it 12?
Because they're counting, Florida has 4.
Oh,
Like that. But and then you travel via a private VIP configured Boeing 757 with an onboard chef and dedicated staff. That sounds nice.
for $100,000, that's not bad, really.
Okay, but this is where it gets interesting. The trip includes visits to iconic landmarks like the Taj Mahal, the
Wow.
pyramids of Giza, and the Eiffel Tower, as well as a stop at Lucasfilm Skywalker Ranch.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. So it's limited to roughly 75 to 150 guests, and the trip includes backstage, behind-the-scenes access, which is, I think, what you were getting at, and experiences with Imagineers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the package is designed for super fans, so 110,000 per person, typically based on double occupancy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy, but okay, so the reason I brought that up,
But what I was going to say, check
Yeah.
out the $20 million one.
there is a $20 million one?
Yeah, I can't remember what's thrown in there. I think you can.
Well, I hope
think
a
you
lot
can stay
more.
in the palace
You
or
better.
the castle or whatever you call it. Like,
Is there a trip for $20 million that involves Disney?
no, it's a ticket.
Okay. Yeah, Saudi Prince Fahd Al Saud famously spent nearly $20 million for a 3-day celebration at Disneyland Paris in May. So yeah, Ray, I think this trip does not.
No, there is I remember hearing about it. Like, there's a 20.
All right. Well, here is there a 10 million Disney ticket? No. Okay.
And it gives you full access to that fancy place that you can't get into. You stand outside of the door and that's all you can see, but you can get in.
Well,
there.
okay. You can rent out Disney World for 20 million. And I think that's what you're talking about because you can go into that Club 33.
Yes.
Yeah. But there is another area too that's also private that I'm assuming they'll let you. I think they let you into wherever you want to go for that 20 million. What?
Yeah.
But you think about, like, I did a whole thing on like how much they make in one day. So
How much did they make?
I can't remember. It was a lot of money. But anyway, the reason I bring that up is because because look, you're flying all that way, right? But okay, so in theory, I think it was like 18 to 20 hours or something
Yeah,
that
it was
we ended
crazy,
up.
yeah.
It was like a long travel, days, whatever. The reason I bring it up is because once we got to Hong Kong and did that for a week, and then we took there's an airline, Hong Kong airline or something like that. It goes from Hong Kong to Tokyo, and it's really like it's like cheap. It's like if we paid like, for example, maybe $75 or something.
Yeah, it was a budget airline.
Yeah, which it's like
but
4
it was
hour
really
flight.
good. It was better than some budget airlines.
Oh yeah. So then we took that cheap airline to Tokyo, and we went to the Disney park there. And I don't know I know this has to be the case for you because I remember probably more than anybody in our house exact details of our trips for some reason. I can't remember anything else, but I'll tell you all about our trips from 5 years ago. But it was hard to start to separate because they were so close together. What happened at one place and the other? But the reason I bring it up is because like that expensive jet ride. I mean, would you want to do that? Because for 24 days, though, it's a lot of travel. I mean, it sounds amazing.
Is it 24 days?
24 days. So it's a lot of travel. You're going to a lot of places, and then you're going to park. Like, would you want to do that? Or would you rather space it out and explore that area? Like, you're going all the way to Hong Kong. I mean, we only were there for a week, but we saw a lot. And I don't feel like we were running around like headless chickens in Hong Kong, like the way that we were in Tokyo. I mean, we like every day we did one thing. Like we went to, one like sightseeing thing. And then a couple of days we didn't have something planned and we just like really explored, shopped, whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is like, it seems like a lot to just go from boom, boom, boom. Like, I don't know if I would love that. 'Cause I think you start to get mixed up in where you are. That's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And I'm a full-blown Disney person saying that.
Yeah.
Not that it's a good option right now, but I'm just saying, like, I think I like the way we do it. Like, space it out and give yourself time to, like, explore that area while you're there.
Yeah.
Imagine going to the Tokyo park and then just being like, okay, everybody on the plane, we're going now.
Yeah, but I think they give you that's why it's 24 days. 24 days is probably enough to see the
How much of that's travel days, though, you think?
Well, it's probably like
even on a private, yeah, because even on a private plane, you're still having to travel all that way, right? It's not like it's going faster. I guess once you're in, because Shanghai and Hong Kong are fairly close.
Yeah.
Right. And then Tokyo's fairly close to them in terms of like how long it takes on the plane. Then you got to all the way to, I'm assuming you're going to Paris there. I don't know what the itinerary is, but anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got lost in that thought, but I thought that was an interesting question to ask. Like if you would want to do that. Because I mean, I'm a Disney nerd and I'm saying that. So would you want to do that?
If I had the money, yeah.
Okay. Great. So if we get the money, we're going.
Maybe.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I'm glad that, we took that trip as a family. Obviously, we got to see a lot of other things apart from Disneyland in Hong Kong, but would you go back?
I would. Yeah. It's probably the Tokyo and Hong Kong is probably the only parks that I would go back to, in all fairness. If you gave me a choice, like in the next year or two, which park would I go? I'd go back to them parks first. Maybe even Paris. Florida,
was cool.
Yeah.
We always like going to
I
Florida.
can give that a miss. In all fairness, don't see the point in it anymore. It's kind of pointless.
Such a bad attitude.
It's not a bad attitude. When you go there so many times, it's just like
I know. It's probably where we're different,
over
though.
and over again.
Like I like to go there over and
so,
over again.
Going to different parks, I would certainly say. Going to I probably could do Tokyo Disney one more time, do Hong Kong one more time, and do Paris one more time. Then I'm good. I don't need to go back for, I don't know, for a while.
Yeah.
Forever.
Forever?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're married to me.
Okay.
So yeah, that's gonna be a wrap. Is there anything else about the trip though that you want to bring up that you remembered?
Just about Hong Kong?
Yeah. You can say anything about it.
Well, the trip. I mean, we're talking about Disney or other things.
Whatever
about
you
Hong
want,
Kong.
because people
don't forget we did see other things like
we did.
not about Disney.
I know. I'm just saying because like people that are going to venture out and go to Hong Kong Disney, and I hope you do. There's a lot of other things to go see in Hong Kong.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to see
Natural
for
beauty
tourists.
and
Oh yeah, the Big Buddha place that we went to.
what about the Cat Cafe?
Cat Cafe? I
That
think
was
there's quite
fun.
a few of them around.
Yeah.
Mongol, you know, there's quite a lot of places. If you love shopping, it's definitely a shopper's paradise.
So yeah, when you go over there, don't be afraid to venture out and see some stuff.
Yeah.
The train system's really easy there.
Well, yeah, you can get from A to B.
Yeah,
The
but it's not like
trains, the
like
taxis, the
Tokyo. Like it's
Ubers.
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's like it's kind of like France was the same way. There's only so many lines and it's easier to navigate. Like Tokyo, my goodness. But Google, you guys.
Yeah, but Tokyo's huge. I mean,
That's what I
Japan's
mean.
huge in comparison to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Hong Kong is a fairly big city. I don't know. I would say it's probably like the size of New York, if not bigger. But it was fun. There was lots to see and do.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, I did too. It was great to take the kids back to see.
Yeah.
Their heritage, if you will. Well, if you're planning your own park adventure, I do run a travel agency, Cast of Magic Travel, and I do specialize in theme park experiences. And obviously, I would love to help you with your next trip. So don't be afraid to reach out because I'm definitely here for it. But if you loved the Hong Kong Disney adventure, please hit subscribe where you get your podcasts and peek at my Instagram at Queen of Parks Pod. And I'm going to be posting up pics from the trip and videos and behind the scenes fun of all the things we talk about here on the Queen of Parks podcast. And I can't wait to share more park fun with you all the next time. And we hope you have a magical weekend.
Bye.